This meeting is being recorded.
Mr. Brown, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thanks, Jesse.
This meeting is being recorded.
Mr. Brown, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thanks, Jesse.
Mr. Brown, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Good morning. How are y'all doing today? It is my pleasure this morning to get to present a promotion for confirmation for you. Go ahead and stand up for me. How are y'all doing today? It is my pleasure this morning to get to present a promotion for confirmation. Go ahead and stand up for me. How are y'all doing today? My pleasure.
Test, 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 test. I will wait 5 seconds. Test, 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 test. Test, test, test. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Give me 1 second. This is above my grade pay. I'm gonna have to get IT involved, okay? And that will be recorded as well, so they can hear it. Give me 1 second. This is above my grade pay. I'm gonna have to get IT involved, okay? And that will be recorded as well, so they can hear it. Testing 1 to 3. All right, I think we're good. Apologize for that. Alex, you can still hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
All right, we're going to try this again. It is my pleasure this morning to present to you Molly Kate Parker for confirmation to the rank of sergeant. Give you the brief bio on Molly. She's a 2009 graduate from Murray County High School in Chatsworth, Georgia. In May of 2013, she completed her Bachelor of Science degree from the University of North Georgia in Dahlonega, Georgia. She began her career at the Dalton Police Department in July of 2013 as a records technician for us in the Support Services Division. In December of 2013, she transitioned over to a sworn member of the police department and attended the police academy. In January of 2020, she served as a P&E technician, which is still a sworn position in the Support Services Division. And then later in September of 2020, she transferred over to the Administrative Division and has been serving as our accreditation manager. She was chosen for that position due to the skill sets required, very detail oriented and very familiar with our policies, which is something that we're looking for when we fill that. So she recently participated in our promotional assessment testing that is done by an outside organization. She scored very highly in that promotional assessment, and based off of her accomplishments of receiving Division Commander's Award, commendations, and other awards combined with her scores and overall performance evaluations, she was selected as the next candidate to be presented to you for promotion to the rank of sergeant. She has her mother, I believe, with her this morning. She also has a large number of our sworn people and non-sworn employees that are coming here for this momentous occasion of presenting Molly to y'all for confirmation to the rank of sergeant. I present Molly to you at this time and ask you to confirm her to a promotion to the rank of sergeant.
I'll make that motion. Aye.
Aye.
Gonna say a few words, Molly?
All right. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. And it's my pleasure this morning to have the opportunity to recognize one of our employees for outstanding work. Within the police department, we have an internal system for employees to be able to nominate other employees when they see good work and call it to the attention of the command staff and to the other employees within the department. And that is what we have this morning. Captain Sean Scott has nominated Lieutenant Ricky Long for an Employee of the Month award for December of 2021, based on his work with our fundraising efforts that we have in place to put on our Shop with a Hero event with the fire department. Lieutenant Long has for the last several years coordinated that event with the city school system to be able to have the children selected. He keeps up with the donations that we get in. He promotes the program and he participates in the program. This year, we normally set a goal to be able to provide Christmas for 12 kids. This year, because of his efforts and the efforts of all the rest of the guys in the department and his coordination of the event, we were able to select 20 children from the city school system to be able to provide $300 apiece at Christmas, plus a large basket of food for their families. And for his efforts in coordinating that and making sure that that runs smoothly on that day and that it's such a fun event for us. We want to recognize him for the month of December as our Employee of the Month. So Lieutenant Ricky Long.
Anybody that wants to stay for the financial part of the meeting. Back to order. The next, item on the agenda is up is the election of the chairman.
Nominations for the chairman. Like a nomination for Terry Mathis. Terry Mathis has been, for any other nominations? Hearing none, Those in favor of Mr. Mathis indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, the next up is the election of the secretary. You all have any,
I nominate Anthony Walker.
all in favor of Anthony Walker as secretary?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Walker for secretary. All right, the next. I will do this for approval. Second.
All right, this should be a fairly quick report. If you'll turn to page 8 in your packets, that's where the crime and crash statistics for the month of December 2021 are contained. You will see that in comparison to 2021, the statistics are compared to the 5-year average versus just the previous year. Part 1 crimes are 27.5% lower than the 5-year average, which is pretty significant. We saw that our Part 2 crimes are 15% lower than the 5-year average, which is also very significant. We'd like to see that trend continue forward as we move into 2022. Property crimes are down approximately 30% compared to the 5-year average. We just see that our calls for service are down slightly compared to the 5-year average, and our crashes are just slightly lower as well. We closed out the year slightly higher in the violent crimes, 5-year average at 103 violent crimes compared to the average of 101. But that increase is not as significant enough to cause any major concerns at this point. So overall, and compared to the 5-year crime and crash statistics, the year of 2021 looked very positive, as well as December. Page 9 contains the table that actually shows the 5-year comparisons. Just a good visual of where we are. Part 1 crimes were down 5.1% compared to those in 2020. We did see a 20% increase in motor vehicle theft. We've talked about that pretty much monthly. That is something that is a trend throughout this area. So it's not Dalton specific. It is something that we think is tied to vehicles are more valuable now as parts versus whole, because the manufacturers aren't making as many parts and other things, and people can get top dollar for some of those parts off certain vehicles. So we think that may be part of it, but we don't have anything to really show anything different than that. We did see a reduction in the number of robberies in 2021, and that's something that's very positive. Our property crimes were down 5.8% in comparison to 2020, which is also very positive. You'll notice that our crash numbers are back up to pre-pandemic numbers. So nothing alarming with the traffic crash numbers. They're pretty consistent with every year other than what we saw in 2020. So no major concerns with that. Page 10 is the comparison of December 2021 to December 2020. The tables there have a lot of data and information there, but you'll find a few things are kind of stand out. Crashes and calls for services were up in the month of December. And we attribute a lot of that to self-initiated activity. If you look at the bottom right of the table, it shows citations and warning, and you'll see those were up for the month. We also had a few more calls, 911 calls that were dispatched as well. So that helped push up the calls for service and self-initiated activity. The motor vehicle thefts were down in the month of December this year in comparison to December of last year. So we had 2 versus 8. So December, our motor vehicle thefts were actually lower than what we had been seeing, which is positive. We also saw that our just assaults were at 24 versus 33, which is also another positive trend. And then the ag assault, we had 4 in December of 2021 versus 8 in 2020. So another positive trend there. If you look at the burglary line under the Part 1 offenses, you'll see that there was a significant increase. We went from 5 last year to 10 during the month of December this year. And we are actively working, trying to make sure that we can solve those cases that took place, but we will be monitoring that to make sure that we get that trend under control. The very next page in the packet that we'll be reviewing is page 11, which is the summary of significant events. The very first 2 cases listed on there, we just titled threatening, are 2 that stood out. As many of you are aware, during the month of December, we had a couple of school threats that the school resource officers, the Dalton Police Department, as well as the investigators for the police department worked on. They did an outstanding job on that. And actually, there were 2 students that were ultimately charged for the threats that were made. There was a third threat that was floating around social media that investigators worked on, and they actually determined that that threat did not originate here locally, but was from another jurisdiction. And one of our detectives did some outstanding investigative work and sent that information to the appropriate jurisdiction so that could be investigated further. In the very third case, on page 11, case 217712, that one stood out to me just because it was some really good work by the officers. They responded to a residence in reference to some medical issues. And while they were there, EMS had done their evaluation of the adult, but the officers went a step further, went in and spoke with the young people in the household, noted that there were some altered levels of consciousness or awareness. Got our wonderful fire department to come out, identified that there was a carbon monoxide issue inside the dwelling. And those kids ultimately were able to be saved because of the fact that they weren't left inside a dwelling with deadly gas. So appreciate what the officers did and what the Dalton Fire Department did by coming in and actually identifying what the problem is so we could get that resolved. So we do appreciate that. But those 2 cases really stood out as examples of extremely good work by the men and women of the Dalton Police Department and the fire department. Not so much some of the other EMS and individuals that were involved, but that's something I'll be talking to the fire chief about later. And on page 12 is our crash statistics for the month of December 2021. We did see an increase in crashes and injuries in comparison to November of 2021. Wednesday was the high crash day of the week. 4 to 7 p.m. was the high crash time. And following too closely was a leading contributing factor in crashes. Rear end and angle intersecting crashes are the primary type of crashes that we saw. And during the month of December, Chattanooga Road was the leading crash roadway. However, Walnut Avenue had the highest number of injuries, which is not surprising because of the speed being higher on Walnut Avenue than it is on Chattanooga Road. If you have any questions about the crime or crash statistics for the month of December 2021, I'd be happy to answer those for you at this time.
The increase in crashes, 240 something, 247.
For the year,
And we're now moving back to where 1,400 is going to be, quote, normal. And I'm concerned about that.
if you look at the 5-year average on those, the crashes in 2021 are actually lower than they were in 2017, 2018, and in 2019. So that increase from 2020 to 2021 is completely attributed to the pandemic year. We didn't have the volume of traffic on the road for an entire year, which pushed our crash numbers down. So that's why we're focusing more on the 5-year average versus just a year-to-year comparison, because you got to put an asterisk by 2020 because it was a situation that we haven't seen in my lifetime when it comes to industry and government and other things being shut down for longer periods of time. So I am not concerned with us returning to the pre-pandemic crash numbers because communities thriving again, businesses are back working, and you're going to probably over the next couple of years see us go beyond that 1,400 just because our industry is increasing and the number of cars on the streets are increasing, and it just goes directly with that.
Second.
The final item for the police department on this week's agenda is the financial statistics for December 2021. You'll find that begins on page 13 in your packet, and I believe ends on page 32. We are wrapping up 2021 under budget for the year. We expended approximately 92% of our budget that was allocated for us during fiscal year 2021. There's still a small number of invoices that will be trickling in and be processed up until January 31st. But we don't anticipate that those will push us over in any of the budget lines since we've already made adjustments. But very pleased to report to you that we did complete the year and remain under budget. If you've got any questions about any of the items listed in our financial statistics, I'd be happy to answer those for you.
Come in under budget, right?
It is. It's a lot better discussion to have than being over budget. So
Chief, I had a question about the hiring of new officers. I know that I saw some ads in the paper, and I know last time we chatted, you felt that that would definitely increase the quality and quantity of candidates. Has that proven to be true?
Quantity has proven true. Quality, not so much so. I
Okay.
was hoping that we would actually, through that increase in the total number of applications, see more qualified or highly qualified candidates. And thus far, we're not seeing the number of qualified applicants that we need to get our vacancies filled. We put a real push out this last week or so, and we'll be doing a lot more on social media and other things, talking about our openings until we get these spots filled. But the overall level of qualifications for the applicants is a little concerning at this point. And we have very high hiring standards, so we're having to broaden the search area and expand our efforts to try to identify more folks. But we've got one individual in the police academy right now. We hope for the March Academy to have a couple of more, but the backgrounds on the applicants is what's really been getting us recently. We'll start doing those background checks and interviews and other things, and we've identified past behaviors and current behaviors that aren't necessarily conducive to being in law enforcement. So we're still struggling with that, but I think eventually we'll make some headway on that. And, we're doing everything we can.
Thank you.
I think right now we're in the stages of trying to identify other steps or incentives that we might be able to utilize to help attract or recruit folks in. So we'll be having a lot more of those discussions internally at the department, and I'm sure in the weeks to come or whatever, you'll probably be getting calls from me to run some things by you on that, because it's not just us that's struggling to attract folks. I believe fire departments having similar issues, and I've talked to other chiefs and sheriffs, and a lot of folks that are applying never even show up for interviews now, because there was the requirements for doing a certain number of online applications and stuff. And I was talking to Lieutenant Zahn earlier this week, and he told me, he said, when he calls these folks about coming in for testing, they go, I don't really want to test. The employment office said that I had to submit a certain number of applications, and that's why I submitted. So, it's the labor pool is very, it's very competitive right now. I'm sure, from the private market, there is very competitive to get folks to come to work. And we were hoping that increase in compensation would help attract folks, but we still haven't seen that yet. But, maybe we'll identify some incentives that'll help. I know some other agencies have put bonuses and signing bonuses and that kind of thing in place, and it really hasn't paid any dividends for them yet either. So I don't know what that magic combination of, compensation and benefits and stuff is to get them to come in the door. So we're gonna have to just keep exploring that. Mhm.
I sympathize with you. It's not easy.
Well, we're gonna keep working on it. Hopefully we'll have some positive news to report at some point in the future. That's what I'm waiting for you to do right now, sir. Thank you, gentlemen.
And gentlemen, just want to make you aware, Councilmember Annalee Harlan is also joined us from via Zoom right now.
Good morning. We have somewhat of a more brief report than what we typically do, but being December, a lot of our activities slow down. Incidents do not slow down, but a lot of our training activities and things such as that do tend to slow down. But without further ado, we'll jump right in. First is our December 2021 statistical report. That begins on page number 33, and this is the incident statistics summary. You'll see that in December, at the top of the page, you'll see that in December, we responded to a total of 322 calls for service. Of those 322 incidents, 208 of those were EMS in nature, and 114 of those fell within the category of fire. Moving on down toward the middle of the page, the mutual aid or automatic aid provided those numbers that we're able to account for indicate 20 aid given and 1 received. And then looking at our overlapping incidents that we had during December, 84 of our 322 incidents were overlapping, meaning there were more than one going on at a time. And that is for a percentage of 26.09%. Our average response time dispatch to arrival was 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And on page number 35, you see that our average turnout time, meaning from the time of a notification until we went en route, was 1 minute and 12 seconds. That makes our average travel time 3 minutes and 18 seconds for our incident response. Moving to the next pages 35 and 36. Again, this is that newest report that I added to the packet. And this is just a broad snapshot of all that we did and breaks it down a little bit further than our summary does. Again, at the top of the page, that's our average response time broken down by the type of call that we're going to. And when you look at, I believe we've talked about this before, but when you look at the response time to structure fires, just bear in mind that this is this 5 minutes and 19 seconds looks like a little bit greater of a time, but some of that is due to a second response as well as the initial response. So that makes it look a little worse than what it is. Our average response time still stays well under 4 minutes on our responses. And then looking on down further down that page, down that report, breaking it down by EMS calls. And this breaks it down by our medical assist, and the other largest category under that is motor vehicle accidents. So of the 209 medical calls, 177 of those were calls for service for medical assist or assisting EMS crews. 30 of those were motor vehicle accidents, and 2 were rescue in nature calls that account for our EMS calls. And then next on our report on page number 37, this is breaking our incident responses down by day of the week. You'll see that, again, our busiest day of the week turned out to be a Wednesday, followed by Thursday. Page number 38 is breaking it down by shift and further breaking it down by district. And in all 3 shifts, you'll see that District 1 is our busiest district. And C shift won the award for December. They had 113 of the 322 incidents for the month of December. Page number 39 is breaking it down by time of the day. And we had a tie for the busiest hour of the average. We had 21 incidents responded to between the hours of 9 and 10 a.m. and 21 responses between the hours of 6 and 7 p.m. Usually, our busiest time of the day is between 6 and 7 p.m. in the evening. Next is page 40 and 41. This breaks it down, again, breaks our incidents down by district and exact NIFRS coding. And again, you'll see that station 1 is, and actually our stations go in sequential order as far as the number of incidents responded to, station 1 being the busiest. Out of the 322 calls for service, 112 of those were in District 1. Page 42 breaks it down by NIFRS category. And again, you can see overwhelmingly that rescue and medical service accounts for the largest part of our incidents. 208 of the 322 were medical in nature. And the next page is our aid count given and received. And this report shows that of the 322 calls for service, 19 of those were automatic aid. Actually, it would be 20 mutual aid and automatic aid given versus the 1. And if you, again, I'll remind the commission that this is a hard thing for us to pull, because if either or of the departments don't show up, we actually become the primary responding agency and it is no longer an aid call. But if you break it down by actual calls that we have responded to within Whitfield County's jurisdiction, that number is actually 33. So we did have 33 incidents responded to in the month of December for Whitfield County. On page number 44, this breaks our detailed fire losses per incident. For the month of December, you'll see that we had 4 building fires in December and 2 vehicle fires in December. And of those, that's going to couple with page number 45. I'll have you look at that page. This breaks down our property loss also by incident. This actually gives you the location of each one of those. And I'll remind you that in December, we had an apartment fire. This apartment fire affected 3 different apartments. This was off of 5th Avenue. Fortunately, we had no injuries as a result. I think we had 1 minor civilian injury, but that accounted for the largest portion of our dollar loss as a result of a fire. Next portion of our statistical reports, our training report. And again, I'll remind you that our training slows down in December because typically we have met all of our training requirements. Typically we meet those by around end of September, 1st of October. So our total training hours for the month of December is 480 training hours. We do take the month of December to complete all of our audits, our year-end audits and everything, and make sure that all things are in order. We did have a few outside schools that were attended. As you see on the bottom of the report, one of our licensed paramedics completed a pediatrics advanced life support certification, while 1 firefighter gained state and national certification as a fire instructor 1. This is what's required to be able to teach in our burn building. And 1 firefighter attended rescue systems 1, fundamentals of heavy rescue, which was hosted at GPSTC, or the Fire Academy. That is one of the classes that is required to be a member of the GSAR, Georgia Search and Rescue Team. So we have 2 new members that are currently going through the certification phase for that. So that class is a part of that. Next is our prevention division report. And not going to bore you with all the details, but pages 47 through 53. These are all the inspections completed for the month of December. To break that down, you'll see that they had a total of 1 alcohol inspection, 25 annual inspections, 1 complaint, 2 kitchen hood installations, 2 new construction inspections, 9 occupancy inspections, 7 plan review and 2 re-inspections, and 25 site visits, which concluded all of their inspections. They again too did kind of slow down a little bit to complete their year-end requirements as well. And then the next portion of the report, 54 through 66, these are the issues that were noted in the inspections and the corrective action plan that was given to the property owner. For those, I would be happy to answer any questions any of the commission members have pertaining to the December statistical report. And if there are none, I would ask for your approval of that. Also, I'll remind the commission that the page that I handed to you replaces, I believe, pages 35 and 36, because apparently we do not have any data to go for December 2022 yet. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, I'd ask your approval of that report.
Do you have any questions or comments for the chief regarding the statistical report?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Aye.
Thank you. Next is our December financial report. It's pretty cut and dry. You will see that we were, I guess, not afforded as much money as PD was. We're a little tighter on our budget. But we did finish the year out under budget, a little less than 0.3% under budget. And which I was relieved to see, given all the extra overtime and backfill that we had to do, both for staffing shortages as well as COVID related illnesses, as well as our COVID efforts, working at the trade center and doing various additional efforts such as that. But was very relieved to see that we do have some, as Chief Casey said, we do have some outstanding invoices and projects that have yet to come in. One of those is a large purchase, which was our bunker gear replacement. As you know, I've told you before that every 5 years we replace our bunker gear to stay on a 10-year rotation. So every 5 years, our firefighters get new gear so that they have a good set of backup gear for the subsequent 5 years. So that is our bunker gear replacement, but I'm assuming that our bunker gear must be out in the Atlantic Ocean somewhere waiting to come to the port, because it is yet to come in, but that is a $54,000 outstanding purchase. The money is in that line, but we're hoping to see that very, very soon. But I've been working with Cindy Jackson, our CFO, in preparation and making her aware of that outstanding invoice. But other than that, we should have no issues with finishing 2021 out at or under, just under budget for the year. Also, in the financial report, I've been telling the commission that the current records management system that we went to, as you know, we went to it in 2019. We went live in 2020, and that company has been acquired by the company that acquired our former records management. And so being that we were new to the system, they were going to allow us to transfer over. But when I got the price difference, it is just not feasible. So we will be moving to a different records management company, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll have some quotes to be able to share with the commission, and then I'll present it to you in February for approval is what my hopes are. So just kind of want to make you aware of that. The reports that you've gotten used to will change a little bit, but I think they'll change for the better. The business analytics of this program that we're hoping to go to is a lot cleaner and a lot better than even than what we're using now. So just wanted to make you guys aware that that process is ongoing, and hopefully we'll have a resolution by end of February for that. Yes, that with the other departments that we've talked to, as I've said, I've not officially gotten all the quotes in yet. We're not going to have to do a sealed bid because it is going to come under the city's policy that requires sealed bids. So which is a good thing, but at the end of everything, I think we're going to be able to save $5,000 or $6,000 a year from what we budgeted in 2022. So my hopes is we're going to get something that's a little bit cheaper, but better in quality. So that's a good combination to me. But hopefully we'll have that in February. But that is our December financial report. If I'd answer any questions. If not, I'd ask your approval for that report.
Budget's even better, right? So we do appreciate it, and it doesn't go unnoticed that you guys work extremely hard. See that on the budget.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, last on our agenda is the approval for an update to one of our policies. And in looking at the policy in the packet, pages 69 through 71, this is the red line strike. This shows and indicates the changes that occurred within the current policy. And then pages 72 through 74, that's the cleaned up version of the proposed changes. And looking at this policy, GP 12, this policy outlining details the procedures in the that are to be taken in the event of a on-duty injury. This is our workers' compensation procedures. And one reason for this change, it was due for review, but also you may know that the city, when we went with GMA as our liability insurer, our workers' comp company changed to Corvale. They had a little bit cleaner procedure than what our former company had. And so we were in need of updating this so that our shift officers knew what to do in the event of an injury. And this, honestly, the result of the change of this policy makes everything not only cleaner, but more efficient and easier access and treatment for our folks that are injured while on duty. I wish I could say that we don't have to utilize this very much, but from time to time we do. But when we do have to utilize this, our experience with Corvale thus far is very, very easy. And as you'll see on the one of the things that makes it easy on if you look at the second page of the policy, our personnel are able to actually call a 1-800 number and do a telehealth if it's something that they can take care of by telephone. So it just the overall procedures for it is a lot simpler than what it used to be. But I would be happy to answer any questions on this. And if there are none, I'd ask your approval for this revision of GP 12.
Yes, I've reviewed the changes. They're appropriate from a legal standpoint. They comply with the Georgia workers' compensation law. The change in the provider dictated it. Some of the language is Corvale's, I believe, Chief. So really all it does is inform our firefighters, our staff up front what their responsibilities are to report promptly and initiate any claim of injury. The rest is basically handled by the work comp process itself. It's very simple. So it's fine.
Thank you.
Mark, do I have a motion? I'll make that motion. Second by Mr. Weaver.
Thank you for joining us, and Mr. Brown, we're adjourned.
Thank you.